Since I left Portland, Oregon in September 2011, I have been inundated with questions on Facebook and YouTube as to why I left my home and when am I coming back. Very often these questions are directed my way. In another video, I'll discuss some of the factors, some of the circumstances that need to be in place first before I travel back to Portland, Oregon. But in this video, I'll do my best to summarize and cover as many bases as I can, some of the circumstances that led to my decision to leave Portland, Oregon. As most of you know, I hosted Outside the Box TV for 6 years, from 2005 to 2011. Despite the large number of people that appreciate the information that I shared, it doesn't exactly make you the life of the party. I moved around for years in Portland while hosting the show. Most of my life has been a long story of moving from place to place, very nomadic. In a lot of cases, the people that I rented rooms from didn't want someone living there that had the ideas that I had. Some of them thought maybe it would bring repercussions or something like that if martial law was declared to the household. There's different variants of this, but the theme was still the same. I've always had somewhat of a Buddhist-like monk nature to me. Progress not for perfection, of course. Certainly not perfect. Certainly far from perfect. But I've never chased money. So I never made something out of myself to support myself. So all those years of doing Outside the Box, I had not built my own platform that was self-sufficient financially so that I could provide income for myself, either for my own studio, or even for my own equipment for that matter, even for my own registration for my vehicle to keep everything legal. I always lived on the edge, and with a faith in the universe giving me exactly what I need. And so for 5 years I bussed tables and played that male version of Cinderella to where I wasn't treated very well, and in a place where I couldn't progress. Ruth Chris Steakhouse at the time, located on 3rd and Oak, was a place where their servers were mostly of a certain body type and skin tone. So there's certain factors of the real world that I was dealing with, but I didn't care, because I wasn't in this to be a career server. It was all just to get by, just enough so I can keep my focus on Outside the Box. There was also Outside the Box Radio that I used to host on a daily basis, often from rooms where I was just renting. In other words, other roommates, other people in the home. So that was challenging to live with others while maintaining that. I also went to school and got a 2-year degree in radio broadcasting, though I made the decision that I wasn't going to pursue a job with Intercom or Clear Channel because of the politics involved. I decided that I would stay independent, and that's what I did all those years. And there were a few people that I cared for in ways that are beyond words. And the disappointment following, this awakening that there wasn't going to be a relationship with this person devastated me inside for years. So for the last several years in Portland, even though I'm on camera and I'm on TV and I'm talking to people all around the world, I'm in a extremely lonely place that's difficult to even talk about. But when I lost my job at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, it was 2009. So I'm like my 4th year into doing the TV show. And again, at that same time period, I'm moving from one house into another. Moved in with some yoga chicks. They didn't know that I had a show that talked about matters that are talked about on the show, and in less than a month, I was out of there. They didn't want that kind of information or talk there. It was kind of like a little yoga fantasy retreat, I think they were trying to design for all the roommates to be in the same kind of thing. I guess they didn't know me very well before they had me move in, and they invited me to move in, and one of them had seen the show, so that was what was shocking about it. The lack of understanding that they had that was an important part of my life. And so in the summer of 2009, after losing the job and that situation, now I'm moving to another home with strangers. Not people that watch my show, not friends, not family. I don't have any family in Portland. For years I was there alone. That's a whole other story. There's a lot of stuff I'm not going to get into in terms of my life before 24. Not right now. crossing the old iron bridge on Road G going to Antonito. I'm going to get on the internet and upload this. So it's 2009, just a couple years before I leave Portland. Got a couple years under my belt doing online radio and doing the TV show, finished school, and was done with the slave job. And I spent a lot of that time trying to build my own community, doing a lot of meetup groups. And for a while there, we had a good venue at a pizza place. And once that place was sold, it was like the energy was disrupted. We weren't able to find another place. So that connection that I had with some people that we used to have meetups with seemed to dissolve. And it was also a stressful time in my life economically, in terms of relationships, the other relationship, and the other that I hoped would have manifested into at least a better friendship. Following those realities, that understanding, I went through a period of a lot of dating and went through a very upsetting experience. A lot of men are viewed as predators, as being men that will trick women into the bedroom for sexual purposes and things of that nature. It's kind of sad but funny, but I feel like I was on the other side of that. The man seeking love, and for years just finding women that liked my body, one-night stands, things of that nature, but no one really cared a damn about the path that I was on, or even saw it as important or attractive for that matter. So it was very difficult, even in a social setting, the guy that's really never invited to the big parties or anything really fun, because of the fear that the host has about, the conversations that I might bring up. It just comes with being who I am, and a lot of other people have experienced this as well, that feeling of isolation. So I felt it across the board in the job field, alienation from my coworkers when I did work at the Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which is a contributing factor to them going, Alex is our guy to let go, because we got to let somebody go. I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in school, I didn't fit in college. I didn't even fit into a lot of other. At PCM TV, I was about one of the only guys next to Bill Olson even talking about some of these subjects. So being an outsider in my travels, it's been a common theme. But in 2009, I went through that emptiness of relationships that never really developed, or friendships, into something meaningful. It seemed very empty, the people I was meeting. I felt very disconnected from the people that were watching my show. I asked often for help. If there was, even someone that knew someone that was cool to move in with, that wasn't a power tripper, or someone that was going to place prejudice against me because of who I am and what I spend my time on. But I eventually found a place up on the West Hills, and even though I was isolated from my roommates then, there was some time of peace and staying at least in the same place for up to 9 months, which was a long time to stay at a place for me. It was a time of reflection. What do I do now that I don't have an income? What do I do now that I'm not at Ruth Chris Steakhouse? And what I did was, I furthered my friendship with Richard at survivalcenter.com, and a year later we opened the Portland Preparedness Center, and to my horror I realized that he and his partner, mostly his partner, had used me and my platform, me talking about the store on Access TV, to help them launch. When they were done with me, they were done with me. And one of the guys that I worked with, Michael Knight of the Portland Preparedness Center, was extraordinarily abusive and was almost like a mirror image of my alcoholic father, which was almost supernaturally odd and strange to me on a personal level to have experienced that anger and spite, rage. So I left the Portland Preparedness Center in February of 2012. Now at this point I'm devastated. I had just spent months living in the store. Prior to that I was living somewhere else. Prior to that I was living in that place in the West Hills. So I've done lots of moving. My old friends seem to be gone. Certainly some of the women that I cared a lot for were no longer in my life, and I was in a state of seeking and again ran into empty friendships, things of that nature with some of the people that I'd met, in a desire for love. And in terms of meetups and trying to get people in Portland active and some of my listeners active, I felt like I had failed because I was not someone that was doing this to make money. I wanted to truly build community and propel alternative media forward, even have an alternative media television studio separate from Access TV. And it just seemed like in the town of Portland, Oregon, where it could be a fun town to party in, get high in, get drunk in, but it's very intoxicating to a certain degree because there's so many things going on in the grid in Portland that deal with just having fun. It seemed like I was always competing with people trying to have their fun. While I had a goal, I have a life path. And I need to stay on that and not divert away from that and go, oh, I'm just here to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. Boys just want to have fun. No, I can have fun, but I have a job to do. Well, come March of 2013, I'm looking at the failure of the Survival Center, at least my partnership with it, my failure with some prior attempts at relationships and friendships with others that I cared a lot, like family. So I didn't have any family in Portland, so to have people close to you, it seems to be a natural thing to have that desire, and I don't like feeling guilty in my life for having such desires. And I'm moving around from place to place. Towards the end, towards the end of the Survival Center experience, I'm living in a place where there's a lot of bad things going on. Again, I'm asking people on Facebook, elsewhere, do you know where there's a place to rent? I just want to stay with friends. It seemed to be a physical impossibility. So I moved out of this place where there were a lot of issues after the fallout from the PPC. And a friend of mine named Alex, some of you might have seen him on my TV show, Alex White. I had him on a couple times to give a younger person who was 10 years younger than me his own voice. And what we decided to do was to move to Estacada, Oregon. At least to stay in Estacada, Oregon. His grandmother owned a cabin out there that had power, believe it or not, no internet. So we decided that it was a good time for both of us. You know, he was having issues at home, and he wanted to see something else other than Portland, Oregon. And I just want to be in rural Oregon, not quit my TV show, just come in on the weekends. And that's what we did. We would come in on the weekends, I would do the show, I would stay at a friend's house, and we would go back out into the boonies. It's over by the fish hatchery, the Eagle Creek Fish Hatchery, I believe, in Estacada, Oregon. Now, it was nice to get out, and by the way, we left on the day of Fukushima, not because Fukushima happened and we said, oh, let's get out of here. We decided we would go on 3/11, a few days before it happened. So when Fukushima happened, and we just happened to ironically be driving out of Portland while everybody on the radio is talking about radiation exposure, or the fear of, we're looking at each other like this is an act of synchronicity. We're leaving on the day of Fukushima. So we took it as a sign that we were doing the right thing. I enjoyed the space that I got away from Portland while I was in Estacada, but I still had that feeling that I may have taken a wrong turn here. I'm going to have to back up. I'll just keep going forward. I'm not sure where I am. I had this feeling that I was missing out on something, that I wasn't just meant to move out to Estacada, Oregon and stay out there. And Alex felt this way as well. And he found a girlfriend and they started traveling around the country. So I came back in the summer of 2011, July, August, and I'm staying at my friend Mike Smith's house, We Are Change Portland. And I remember posting on Facebook, looking for a place to stay, even a place to put my tent. So I can be in Portland, but I can be in a safe place, not in a homeless shelter. And I'm talking about this every now and then on my show, and it's like, everybody is looking to me for information, ideas, perspectives, and I appreciate that. But it's like, the friendship wasn't there. I was just Alex answering the guy on OTB TV. I wasn't actually a human that was suffering as a result of the life path that I chose. It was bad enough going out to the supermarket and seeing people glare at you periodically. There'd be people that say hello and they appreciate the show. There's also, I got to turn around here, a lot of people